Views and content expressed in the following program are not representative of ONTV or the Board of Directors. ONTV and its Board of Directors do not endorse the views, thoughts, or content of the following program.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Political Talk, the show that is no teleprompters, no cue cards, no idiot boards, just ad-lib conversation.
Although a couple of idiots might be at the table at the time.
That could be true. But tonight, I wanted to ask you something. I went to get my auto insurance looked at, and I went they dug deep into it, and they raised it from $1,500 to $3,800.
For a 6 month period or a
6
year?
months period.
Yeah, they like to. Every quote they give you on auto insurance is basically a 6 month quote.
Well, the bad part was that they told me that don't bother having a heart attack because your auto insurance doesn't take care of that. So
now wait a minute. Now, Michigan. How do I say this? Michigan is one of the 12 states that have no fault insurance.
Yeah.
Do you realize in all 12 of those states, the insurance industry is making a killing on the people? And I mean almost literally a killing.
Well, I got to tell you, when they gave me that figure, it almost killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, look at it this way. You have two insurances that are so-called mandatory for Michigan. And I'm only going to speak about Michigan on this. Mm-hmm. You got health insurance that's mandatory. Because if you don't have it, you get a fine.
You mean Obamacare?
It's not just Obamacare.
Really?
If you don't carry insurance at all, you will pay a fine when you claim your taxes.
Didn't know that.
Yep. And currently, I know of a couple people that when they got their return this year, they had a $750 fine that was put on their taxes, which they take out of their federal tax. And some were higher, but the magic number I heard was $750. The reason that was given, they didn't have enough health insurance. So I have an argument with that, because on your auto insurance, you actually carry health insurance.
Yes.
Okay, so if we have auto insurance, why doesn't that count as health insurance? Well, people say that's because it's on your auto insurance, because your health insurance doesn't cover auto accidents. Well, believe it or not, you have all kinds of ambulance chasing law firms. Lee Stein. What?
Yeah, but see, the thing with Lee gets there before you do. He's at the hospital waiting for you. I'm trying to figure out how he does that.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
He's probably, no, I won't go there. And then we have Sam Bernstein. You have Jeffrey Feiger. You have Mike Morris Law Firm. All these ambulance chasers, I call them, because they want that insurance money that's on your auto insurance. See, I've heard of doctors saying when it's an auto insurance claim, they will come in there and they will have you go out and take all kinds of tests, and they're saying it's just covering their basis on this. But the problem is, auto insurance, your health insurance portion of that, there's no cap. Okay, on your health insurance, most of the time there's $1 million cap for a major catastrophe or a health problems like that. Well, like I was saying, they're mandatory, so why can't they just count Michigan's auto insurance and say, hey, you got health insurance right there. You actually have better health insurance on that car than you do for yourself.
Well, I got to tell you, a few years ago, I got injured on the ship. It was a workplace injury. And
now you're talking work comp.
Okay. Well, no, we didn't have workman's comp. We had what they called the Jones Act.
Well, it's different because of maritime.
And my insurance, there was a company insurance for the Jones Act, and then there was my insurance. Well, my insurance that I paid for actually took care of it. But they called me and they asked, did you get a police report? I said, police report for what? They said, for the car accident. What car accident? They said, the car accident that you were in. I was never in it. I don't even own a car. How can I have a car accident if I don't own a car? I was on a ship.
Right.
Well, they were trying to find a way of pushing it onto someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I equate insurance this way. It's similar to the lottery. Now, when I get insurance, you're my insurance salesman.
Okay.
I'm going to bet you that I don't have an accident.
And I'm going to take you up on that bet.
And you're going to bet me that I am.
Right.
The only difference is, if I win, you get free for nothing money. Okay, that's part of the plan. But if you win, there's all these stipulations. Oh, well, wait a minute. No, it was on a Tuesday, and it was the first Tuesday of the month, so therefore it don't count. Or one that really got to me was I slid on some ice. It was an icy night, and I slid into this car, and they told me, well, that was an act of God. And I sat there and I said, you're kidding. They said, no, God, that was icy roads, the rain, and you're blaming God?
I
never got that one.
If it's an act of God, and I shouldn't say this, but I wish he'd smite every one of these insurance agencies and industry as a whole, because I'll tell you what, they've been bleeding our families dry, especially over the last 15 years. I mean, your auto insurance used to go by your driving record, and if I remember right, the weight of your vehicle. That's how they also got your price of your tags or your plates. Now it's a complicated system. Now it goes by your driving record, your credit score, which has nothing to do with your driving abilities.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that one out.
And possibly the weight of your vehicle. But I had an actual insurance agent. She told me, I asked her, I said, how do you figure? Because at the time I had a 2000 Ford Ranger. And it was given to me by a brother-in-law, and I wanted to insure it because I wanted to be able to drive it, so I wanted insurance on it. And I go in there, and I think at the time when she put it on there, it was like $152 a month for PLPD, which is the state minimum. And I'm like, why is that so much more than my 2004 Dodge Durango? I think I was paying $67 a month on the Durango. But the 2000 Ford Ranger, a little pickup, was $152 a month. I says, how do you figure this stuff out? I says, I would figure if I was going in to put PLPD on a vehicle, there'd be some kind of single rate price that you could put on a vehicle. Why doesn't the insurance industry do that? Well, she actually told me how she figured this out. They go into their computer, they pull up the history of that vehicle for the year it came out, that specific vehicle. And she says to me that the year that vehicle came out, it caused this many accidents, had this many deaths, and blah, blah, blah for this vehicle. So, in other words, this vehicle causes more damage than my Dodge Durango. I said, wait a minute. I said, this vehicle's 15 years old. It has nothing to do with when it came out. I've never had an auto accident. I've never had anything to do with an auto. I mean, I've gotten a ticket here and there, but never had an auto accident. So what the heck's that got to do with me? Well, that's just how we do it. So if I buy this tricycle over here and it's caused so many accidents and blah, blah, blah from a kid going out in front of a vehicle, and I try to insure that tricycle, are you telling me that's going to be more than that pickup? She says, theoretically, yes.
Well, I was amazed that just what you said. Well, that's what it is. Like the computer is the tell-all. That's it. The computer said so. So me yelling at her didn't do much good because it was the computer's fault. I wanted to slap the computer, but it wouldn't do any good.
The problem is, a computer has a human at one end that puts this information in.
True.
Okay? And who's to say the person they hired to put all this information in isn't told to jack up everything 10%?
True.
I mean, I don't trust any insurance company whatsoever. I mean, like I've told you on a previous show how they artificially raise the value of our homes just so they can collect more money in their counties and districts and stuff like that. Of course, The insurance agency benefits at that because if they raise the value of your home, they automatically raise your homeowner's insurance. So, and you don't even have to be told when they do it.
No.
They just do it,
No.
which raises your house payment because most people have it all into a,
Bundle?
well, it's not a bundle. I can't think of the word I'm thinking of right now. But they have all this going into a separate account for your your homeowner's insurance and escrow. That's what I'm trying to think of. It all goes into escrow. It's all wrapped into one. And mortgage companies love this because a lot of them will hide mortgage insurance in there that people don't know they're paying for, just in case you miss or you don't make your homeowner's payments. If they go to foreclose on your home, that insurance company pays that mortgage company for the value of your home.
Well, something that she brought up, and I think I understood this, and I'm paying part of it for uninsured motorists up to $100,000.
Well, that's the cheap end. Most of them try to lock you in at $300,000.
Well, what I'm curious of is an uninsured motorist isn't supposed to be driving.
Correct, but
So-
they do.
So then technically I wouldn't really need it because if somebody did hit me, then okay, my car is totaled. Well, depending on what your car is, I mean, might not, who would really care. But the thing is, you're kind of contradicting yourself, aren't you?
Michigan does have a high number of uninsured motorists. I mean, we're talking 8 to 12% of the drivers out there don't have insurance on their cars because they can't afford the auto insurance.
Well, I have to say that my auto insurance for my car has now, with this increase, has now increased higher than my car payment.
Well, here's another thing for you.
That's amazing.
You've heard of these, they're like cab services, Uber, Lyft, that are out there. Now, we have a whole new generation out there that will not buy a car until they're almost 30 years old now because they're utilizing these Uber and Lyft systems, which is a good thing. It's out there for people who want to go out and drink. They have a cab service that they can go home on, which is a great thing. But there's people I've talked to out there that will not buy a car until they start a family because they might spend $150 or $200 a week on the Uber and Lyft systems, which if you figure it up is $600 or $800 a month. Well, guess what? That's cheaper than a car note and the insurance.
That's interesting.
So we have a whole new generation that is going to these services instead of becoming drivers. It's cheaper for them to use these services, and it sounds high to me, $150 to $200 a week. Wow. But yet, when you figure out my car note and my auto insurance, I can understand why.
Gas, wear and tear on the car.
They
new
don't have none
tires.
of that. But the thing they bring up is the cost of the buying the vehicle, their car note, the payment for it, plus the auto insurance. Detroit, Michigan has the highest auto insurance cost in the nation. One city is higher than the entire country, and it's 136% above the national average. That's just on auto insurance. And they put this on there that, well, you're more likely to have a car stolen in Detroit than you would be in Lake Orion. Okay, that's only because there's almost 700,000 people in Detroit compared to 80,000 or 100,000 in Lake Orion.
No, Lake Orion's only like 40,000.
I'm just throwing a number
Yeah,
out there, but
okay.
it's just the idea that I'm throwing this out there. It's percentages, okay? You know,
Well, I heard
we're
they wanted-
playing the odds.
I heard they wanted to take out no vault, go back to the old way. Is that
The
good
state of
or bad?
Michigan,
Yeah.
I would welcome it in a heartbeat. And I would push anything to go back to at fault. Because, like I said earlier, we have 12 states in this country that have no fault in auto insurance. Every one of those states, the insurance industry is making a killing. And if you pay attention, almost all 50 states all have Allstate insurance, State Farm, and all these major insurance companies. Well, we got companies like right here in Michigan. You can if you were to go down and be allowed to permit or plate your vehicle in Ohio, you would, for that one vehicle, you could get full coverage down there for $75 a month.
Wow.
Up here, you're talking anywhere from $150 to $300 a month if you have a good driving record and a decent credit score.
Well, I know people have complained about it, but why has no one listened?
The insurance industry.
I know it's
is
a
one
dumb
of the
question, but
no,
what the
it's
hell?
not a dumb question. The insurance industry as a whole, they've put millions, heck, tens of millions of dollars into the two-party system. They've put, and I'm just going to use numbers again, just because I don't know the exact dollar amount right at this time, but they put $10 million into the Democratic Party and $10 million into the Republican Party. They're hedging their odds. So it doesn't matter which one wins. They've got meat in the game, so to
So
speak.
basically, they are brokers. We give them the money, and they distribute it to the factions that will make it worthwhile. Which, I mean, we've hit on that before in previous shows. Government for sale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people say, well, we need to get government out of our bedrooms, government out of all kinds of factions, which a lot of it I agree. But like in our health insurance industry, you know, how they figure out their prices for health insurance, not just the insurance, but for if you go to the hospital, you're paying $10 or $15 for an aspirin. According to the government, they are allowed to charge a reasonable price. That's all it says is a reasonable price.
Well,
But you look at, and I've used this before on the show, on MRI. If you have Medicaid and you're on the Medicaid system, which is benefits that we pay for people who can't afford health insurance and stuff like that, if they were to have an MRI, they would go up there. The Medicaid would pay, if I remember right, it's just under $500. I think it's $497 for an MRI. The state pays that MRI company $497. All right, if you're a senior and you're on Medicare, they just pay just under $700 for an MRI. The same MRI that the guy on Medicaid or woman had on Medicaid. Then there's the people who can afford health insurance. They go up there and they'll pay up to $5,000 for the same exact MRI. And now I see this, I think it's Basha or something out there.
yeah.
They got commercials all over the radio. $250 cash
Same-day
for an
service.
MRI, same day service.
Well,
You know, and then we wonder why our health insurance is so high. We wonder why our auto insurance is so high. It's because they have bought the system off and they are told they can charge a reasonable rate.
you know, it was very funny when I ran. I refused to take money, and I was laughed at. And yet, I met politicians, and even to this day, you know, like I said, our congressman is a good one for this. He will go where he can sniff out the money, and he'll go in, and the others are like this.
Right.
Well, I'm a freak of nature, because I don't take money. The thing is, my goal was to represent the people. So an issue like this, not only do I know it, I'm a victim of it, if you want to call it that. I mean, we could all look at our car insurance. I don't think anyone goes out and maliciously gets into an accident. And but for one person to be so self-serving, to go to the insurance companies, look, I will protect you. I will make sure that legislation does not pass this desk, and they do it.
Oh, yeah.
This is the part that people don't understand, that there are congressmen, senators, and representatives who will actually block a bill because the insurance company or a manufacturer or somebody has come to them and said, you take care of this, and we, cash money, we will take care of you. Now, that's a bold statement to make. The fact is, though, it's true. Now, Trump said he was going to clean the swamp. And actually, Snyder said the same thing, only he didn't call
didn't
it a
say the
swamp.
swamp.
No, they said they were going to clean it up, clean it up, clean it up. It's worse now than it ever was. And you know what amazes me? They're so bold about it. And we sit back and take it because we don't have anyone that will stand up and have the guts to say, keep your money, we're going to do the right thing.
Here's the problem, I believe. This is just my opinion, and sometimes it doesn't amount to much. But I've said this on other shows. I've said this to people I've sat down and had political discussions with. 2018 is a year that the people of Michigan, if they really want change, it's out there for them. And what makes this year so wonderful for that, or so easily to do, every one of our senators, every one of our state reps, a lot of our local government officials are all up for election at the same time.
Okay, didn't you bring up at one time that there was a fund that came from the auto insurance and was actually...
It's still there.
Okay, explain that to us.
It's called the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Account, the MCCA. You can actually go Google this page. The thing that really ticked me off about this MCCA account is it's invested. Well, that part didn't bother me. But all this money, there's nearly $20 billion of money in this account.
Billion.
Billion with a B.
Okay.
Not one dime of it is invested in Michigan, but yet it's money from only Michiganders. I mean, they invest in Florida, Indiana, Ohio, California, and Illinois. Those 5 states. And when I talked to an insurance agent about that, he says, well, we're investing the money where we can make money. I said, that has an issue for me because it's all Michiganders' money. Why isn't it being invested in Michigan? You know, why don't you start campaigns or something for mom and pop to start businesses up where, well, again, you're going to make money because they got to have insurance on their business, plus employees, health insurance, and all this and that. But it's our money. Invest it in Michigan.
Wasn't that the same theory that I had brought up about when they brought Aramark in? And Randy Richardville worked out, they got $66,000 in campaign contributions. It's probably more than that, but that's all that was accounted for. And they brought Aramark in. Okay, Aramark took the account, which is $145 million, to feed the prisoners in the prisons and elsewhere.
They took the place of another company that was
No.
Or was it the other way around?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
What they did, Aramark took that money and it went to Pennsylvania.
Right.
Okay, so some of it came back in wages paid back to the state.
Right.
But a huge portion of that stayed in Pennsylvania. Now that's Michigan taxpayer money. And Randy Richardville, no, we can't do this. We got to get rid of these unions. We got to get people on right to work, and we got to do this, and we got to do this. Well, Aramark just botched everything. They were caught in so many scandals. And the problem was that they were fined, and Cali took the fines away. Okay, so it got to be so bad that they took them out and they brought in Trinity. Now remember I said it was a $145 million contract. Trinity is also a company outside the state of Michigan.
Yes, it is.
But they increased it by $13 million, and Trinity came back and said, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to make the same mistake as Aramark. We're going to police ourselves.
Well, and we know how well that works.
Oh, yeah, well, they're right back in the same way. Callie and Schutte are still protecting them, wiping out the fines. But
by the way, Bill Schutte and Brian Kelly are both running for governor.
Isn't that amazing? But the thing is, my point is, that was Michigan money. If it was issued by the government to take care of the prisoners, and it was issued out of Lansing, that meant that $145 million stayed in Michigan. Mm-hmm. And every time you paid someone in Michigan, they turned around and spent it in Michigan, which that dollar kept rolling over and over and over and over. But now the majority of it goes somewhere else.
Yes.
So that rolling over, you will not break even, but they got their fair share in the pocket.
Oh, yeah. You're
Now,
talking
did-
about Callie and Shooty.
And not only Callie and
Well,
Shooty,
no, the
whole
other
bunch of
officials,
them.
yeah.
But the point is, so for all of you out there that are paying car insurance, happy about it? You like it? If you're satisfied with it, by all means. To me, it's way too high. I try very, very hard to be very careful when I'm driving. I don't want an accident, and I'm sure you don't either.
Right.
But if this is what you're doing to us, and as I told you, I wanted the health insurance.
It just went up in June.
Oh yeah, no, believe me, I know.
And there's a lot of people that don't realize, because a lot of them have auto pay on their bank accounts and
Yeah.
it just goes out. And they don't catch it right away, but then they'll call and, it's good to shop around. We can all shop around and get a lower price. Maybe. But when you're told that, hey, your state just raised the auto insurance over there, so I can't give you this $152 payment, but I can give you this $175 payment now.
But see, that's the trouble with the auto withdrawal, and the reason they do that, they give you 2% off, so you don't watch it. And it's basically the same question I used to ask about taxes. I would ask people when I was campaigning, when was the last time you paid taxes? Oh, let's see, a couple of years ago.
They don't realize that go ahead.
I said, you paid the taxes every week. You just didn't see it.
Well,
And I know I've told
you know
this
why they
story
started
hundreds of
doing.
times.
You know why they do that. You know
Out
why
of
they
sight,
take
out
it
of mind.
exactly. That's why they made it so that your employer takes your taxes out.
Well, same thing.
Because if you had to actually go up to that window like you were talking about and say, okay, I made this much money. Here's my taxes for this week. If you got pissed off enough or mad enough at it, you could say, you're not doing your job, so I'm not giving you this tax money.
I mean, my question would be, you're going over the same damn pothole for the last 20 years. It just keeps getting bigger. And yet, you don't have a problem with them taking the tax money, and that hole hasn't been filled. But yet, let's bring it up anyway. Pension list.
Well, see, now, people in Michigan are under the impression, I know where you're going with this. People in Michigan are under the impression that our elected officials no longer have pensions. What they're forgetting about is we have the grandfather clause.
Yeah.
And I have an issue with Bill Shooty at this point because no matter what Bill Shooty does, he's got a pension from the state of Michigan. So if he's running for governor right now, and if he gets elected governor, okay, and I think if I remember right, the governor's salary is $159,714, somewhere in there. He's still going to collect this pension of over $3,000 a month on top of that salary. Now, if he dies, which I wish the man a lot of longevity, let's put it that way.
Well, I hope he's got car insurance.
Yeah. I'd hate to see
He
him
can
walk
afford
out in
it.
front of a bus. But even if he passes away, his wife receives this pension until she passes away.
Yeah.
But yet he's a big opponent of pensions for elected officials. Personally, I think they ought to have a pension like we all do. When you get the job, you start putting into your 401k.
I believe that's what they have now, but that wasn't under the grandfather clause.
Oh, I'd love to see somebody get in there as governor and just look at the people and say, look, we're going to do away with all these pensions.
Let's look at someone local.
Just makes me mad.
A senator that we had here for 22 years gets $7,152.68 per month.
Is that Marlon?
No.
Oh.
No.
I was going to say, because he's getting ready
So-
to go to Florida.
Here's the thing. Well, now he is probably grandfathered in.
Yeah, I'm
Probably.
betting he is.
The thing is, the reason we bring this up, they did the job, but the thing was, they are the same people that said teachers and average factory workers and union people, they don't need pensions. The ones in Detroit who worked for 30, 40, 50 years.
They're there's a big bill in Lansing right now on cutting teachers' pensions again.
Yes. Cut the teachers' pension, but don't cut ours. We get ours, you have to get yours.
Yeah, 'cause
Now, unfortunately, I got to change the subject on. I want to hit on healthcare issues because right now, what I see, they're supposed to vote again on. By the time the show airs, they may have voted on it, but they're still trying to repeal Obamacare. Now, Obama himself said that it wasn't perfect, and he asked if you've got better ideas, come forward. Well, no one came forward. They bitched.
right.
And they're still doing that to this day, back and forth and back and forth, back and forth. But you know who the loser is? The loser are the people out
Yes.
there. Now, a lot of it is being sabotaged. It's been sabotaged for the last 7 years. They had an idea that, and the funny part is, a lot of the basis of Obamacare came from Mitt Romney. Not everything.
Right.
Now, what I can't understand is how these people cannot get together and do the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. No, each side is the enemy. Well, while you guys are fighting who the enemy is, which is all perceived and most of it is crap anyway,
Right.
we are losing. We are paying enormous amounts of money out of our pockets.
Right.
I want to ask the people out there just a question. I'm going to throw it to you, but I'm hoping they will listen too.
Okay.
Okay, with the way things are going right now, at what point do you think you'll be able to retire and survive?
Who, myself? I won't ever be able to retire. I enjoy working too much.
No, but think about it. If our insurance on our house, if our insurance on our car, if all these things are factors, there is no way that the average person, the middle class and lower, and it's getting to be the upper middle class and lower,
Correct.
will be able to survive any length of time. It's almost as if you'll.
I've said
They
this
better
before.
start finding out how to get cat food.
I've said this before. In my personal belief, I could care less what Washington does with health care because it is not actually in their realm to regulate health care all across the United States. It's not part of the Constitution. It's not part of a system that should be even involved with our health care insurance. Where the health care insurance should be regulated is in the states.
But my point is that even the states are manipulating it to their benefit. The parties, if you belong to a specific party. Now, I want to give Governor Snyder credit. Governor Snyder was in.
That's a big leap.
Yeah, well, all politicians are not jackasses. That is, some do, some good.
Okay.
Okay, in this particular case, he was over in Israel promoting Michigan. Why exactly, I'm not sure, but he was. And the
Okay.
state legislature, both the House and the Senate, said, no, we're voting it down, we don't want it, get rid of it. But Snyder looked and said there's over 350,000 people in the state of Michigan that are going to need it. And he came back early and he went to them and he said, no, we're going to pass this. We have to take care of our people.
Right.
I give him, he could have got my vote for that. He did the right thing. The thing is, people are not going to be able to have health insurance. And when do you need it? When you're a child, when you're checking in, and when you're checking out.
Right.
In the middle, of course not. Even the insurance company says that.
Well, right now the insurance industry, this is what's really got my attention. The insurance industry as a whole has set your deductible so high to make it affordable for you. Okay, that's how you can make it affordable, by raising your deductibles. It makes no sense. We've talked, and it's the same thing that me and you were talking about before the show, before we went live and taping. The whole thing is, the average family, for a healthy family of four, is paying between $1,200 and $1,400. I actually think it's gone up a little bit more than that right now, but I'll use this number because I know this number. It's between $1,200 and $1,400 a month for a healthy family of four. Mm-hmm. And these are Blue Cross Blue Shield numbers alone. Okay, so in order to get that down to the $1,200 and $1,400 where it's supposedly affordable for this family, their deductible is $5,000. The catch of that is that's $5,000 per family member.
Yeah.
That isn't just one time. So what's the odds of a healthy family of 4 of any one of them utilizing that $5,000 out of their pocket before anything, unless they have a major traumatic incident?
I am curious to something though, and this question, even Mike Bishop's office couldn't answer. If Obamacare's deductibles are so high, and because they're sabotaging it by holding back money, by keeping things from happening, and this is governors too. Now, my question is, where was more affordable health insurance? Was there something cheaper than Obamacare that would have sufficed a lot of families? And in my thinking, if that was true, then people would have gravitated to that. Let's say Blue Cross Blue Shield undercut Obamacare by $100.
Obamacare is the ACA, Affordable Care Act.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if the insurance companies, if you take that away, will we not be at the mercy of the insurance companies?
If you just let it go, if the state doesn't jump in.
No,
yes.
I mean if they repeal it.
No.
Now, I don't know, and I'm asking.
No. Here's the problem. Even with Obamacare, okay, and this is the reason it was so affordable was at the cost of every working person in the United
we all
States.
kicked into it. We all helped out.
Okay. The insurance companies, when the incentives wore off, because they were only given for so many years, I believe it was 6 years, then they started falling off. What we were calling affordable, and when you went onto the websites to choose your insurance, they all had high deductibles. Okay. All right, so a family of 4 went on there. Again, this is just hyperbole, whatever the word is. The idea of what it was you'd go onto the website and you'd shop around for the lowest price. You would see just prices. Okay, Cigna charges this. And I think Blue Cross Blue Shield had a couple on there as well. And you had all these insurance companies on there at the time when it started. So, okay, this one's $350. So I'm going to sign up for that one for a family of 4. It's $350. That's really affordable.
Yeah.
Okay, the deductibles were still between $3,000 and $5,000 per family member. So that $350 that you knew about, that you were paying, was free money to the insurance company. What you didn't see behind it was the other $2,000 that the federal government was paying to that same insurance company for your policy. Okay? Now, granted, $2,000 is a little high. Actually, I think it was $1,800. So all these insurance companies, when they were going out there and saying, well, we'll give you this price right here, they knew it was all free money because nobody's going to hit those deductibles unless John Doe walks out in front there, has a heart attack, and then he's going to hit his for that year. But do you realize that say you have a heart attack in November, your insurance covers 80% of everything that you're at the hospital for that roughly $100,000 bill. Okay, now they start scheduling you for follow-up tests to make sure your ticker's in good shape after they've done all their repair work, and trust me, they can do repair work nowadays.
Yeah, because they got insurance to cover for themselves for malpractice.
Right.
So it's another.
So January, guess what? January 1st, your insurance resets. You had the heart attack in November, and they paid a big chunk of it. But and you still owe $5,000 for that year's deductible. But then in January, you're stuck paying another $5,000. So all these tests and stuff that they're following up, you have to pay a huge portion of it. Again, what's the odds? And you might not have another heart attack for 10, 20 years down the road because you get wise and you start doing healthier things. So, whatever. But the whole thing is, the majority of that money you're giving to these insurance companies, I understand it's an insurance policy. It's what if is what these insurance companies are all about. I mean, health insurance was supposed to be there to help people stay healthy. You know, they have what they call, most of them have what they call wellness plans. I mean, they'll pay for your annual physical. You know why they'll pay for your annual physical? Because they want to see what's coming up the line. You know, oh, this guy's got high blood pressure, so tentatively, he may be due for a stroke or a heart attack, so we need to find a way to get him off our insurance.
Oh.
Where do you think wellness programs came from? They pointed out to you that it's to make sure that you're staying healthy. Yeah, it has its good points, but the insurance companies are utilizing these to see what's going on with you. Is he healthy, or is there something coming up? Well, the possibility of him having a heart attack is 5-6 years away. They hedge their bets this way, and as it gets closer, they'll change your policies, little bits here and there. Oh, well, this drug coverage here is a 3-tier, so we had to raise the price on this one just so that they know you're coming up on it.
So then what's happening then is those that are supposed to be representing us, now I'm speaking in fairy tale terms, all these representatives are supposed to be able to sit down and come up with ideas to protect us and give us the best plan.
If they were doing their real job, and like you just said, as a fairy tale, they would be making everything wine and roses for everybody. I understand that's not possible, okay?
Well,
but there is a such thing as common sense. You know, we've known for decades that health insurance, auto insurance is running away from us.
But these guys are selling us down the river.
Exactly, because the insurance industry as a whole, and I mean as a whole, because they're all the same insurance companies, they just have their fingers in different games. They are buying our politicians off. Mm-hmm. Every one of our politicians out there, and I'm saying everyone because I'm sticking with the two-party system, Democrats and Republicans. If you're a Democrat or a Republican and you're receiving money from your party, chances are there's insurance money in there.
Well, not only that, but I mean, even when I ran and I told them I don't take any money, man, they really went off on that. Because
that's probably why you didn't win.
No,
also.
there was one union, and I'll even say it, the UAW. No. It was the United Food Workers.
Okay.
You know, in the grocery stores. And when I called them, you know, being a Democrat, I'm thinking it's a union. I would get to talk to them. First question out of his mouth: how much money did you collect?
That's what they care.
And I said, not a dime. Why? Because I need to represent my district. Well, we don't want to talk to you, and they hung up on me.
That's the thing.
It's all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, that money doesn't mean that you're going to do a good job. That money means that your life is going to be much better off than the people that you represent.
Okay.
Just like our former senator and our current senator are being well taken care of on the taxpayer dime, mm-hmm. and the rest of us are struggling to live week to week, check to check, and hope to hell nothing happens.
I would still love to know what would happen if a governor come in here and decided to close all them pensions off for those state reps and all that. Just, you know what, you people have done nothing but
well, you know what makes it
harm
worse?
the people. We need our tax dollars to go to better uses, so you're out of here.
Some of these people, John Engler was out of Michigan within 3 weeks, mm-hmm. had his family move to Virginia. That was a Michigan man.
Yep.
And then he got a lot of the corporations, he was on their board. For what?
Yep.
Why? Because he was able to collect money for them.
Yep.
Well, then when they found out he was incompetent, they threw him out.
Right.
Debbie Stabenow.
Debbie Stab in the back. She still is fine.
She's still collecting money.
Yep.
And from different jobs. Bill Schuette, still collecting money. Let's see. Unfortunately,
the list goes on and on. There's almost
300
300 state reps, senators, elected officials, let's put it that way, that receive a pension.
Yeah. And what's sad
but yet
is
they've done away with the pensions, and I commend them for that.
Well, they had no choice.
The people got mad.
I'm taking credit for some of that. Because in 2010, I said I would give back the raise that they gave themselves. Because in the year 1999, they voted in, 8 months before they got out of office for the first term limit, they voted in a 38% raise. Mm-hmm. And our state senator at that time, who's collecting $7,000 some odd dollars, he voted for it. Oh,
Yes, he did.
yes. And what happened was they did that, one, within the 8 months, so they couldn't be recalled. Number two, the end of their term, whatever salary they were at, that's what their pension was.
Yep.
So he padded the books.
Yep.
Now, the funny thing was, he said, well, if the people in my district don't like it, they can call me up. And it was only a quarter per person, so I'll give them their quarter back. So I called the secretary, and I wasn't very pleasant with her.
Did you ask for your quarter?
I asked for $1.50 for the whole family.
There you go.
And he became the two-bit politician. And that's what they are. And what's really sad to me is that when you have somebody who is good, and I know a lot of people, I am a Democrat, I'm a very conservative, I'm a Reagan Democrat.
Right.
But there are some Republicans out there that are absolutely great, and some that I would vote for. Right now, John McCain, I've always respected John McCain except for that choice for vice president. Other than that, I mean, there were so many others. He could have taken Lieberman and been much better off. I mean, that was a bad choice on his part. Very entertaining and great for Saturday Night Live.
You're talking about Sarah Palin?
Oh, I didn't say that. But the thing was, he knows the difference between right and wrong. Do I agree with him all the time? No. Do I agree with Democrats all the time? No. Do I vote straight Democratic line? No.
Sorry.
If there's a Republican out there that deserves the vote, that's going to do the job, I'm all for it. He'll get my vote. And like Trump says, what I'll do is I'll vote for him 3 times. How's that?
I've always voted on both sides of the aisle, so to speak. I always look. I have 2 main questions I ask, and what's this candidate going to do for my family and my community?
Well, here's 2 good questions: auto insurance and health insurance. 2 good questions that have been up for
Decades.
discussion for who knows how long, and yet nothing has been done, and we keep paying it. And like I said, I don't mind paying it because I do need it.
I tell you what, I'm interested
I don't
right
wanna be
now
cheated.
in this gubernatorial race that's getting ready to unfold. There's an independent in there I'm really interested in. I won't mention names right now, but I see a lot of
Well, see,
change
here's
there.
where the independent has the advantage. And this happened with the young man from Minnesota,
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura. He got in office. He took the best of the Republicans, the best of the Democrats, meshed them together. The stuff that was no good, he threw out. Now, if the 2-party system could do that, fine. And at one time, I think they could.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
nowadays,
not how
no.
it is. No.
No. They
No.
want to argue and bicker with each other. They want,
They're wrong.
If it's a good idea, it's got to be from our party type thing.
Yeah.
If it's a good idea and the other party's pushing it, then it's bad for us.
But to the voters, and I'm speaking to all of you who are listening, you're the ones that lose. Now, if you, like I said, if you enjoy paying the high rates for insurance, yes, you need health care. But it shouldn't be, a squeeze on you. Auto insurance. Your auto insurance should never exceed the payment of your car. And when it does, if you think about it, you're buying 2 cars. Reasonable, fair. That's all you're asking. Not that you don't pay any at all. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. But these guys can look at it, but they don't. They look at, all right, who's gonna fund me? Who's gonna fund me? And the thing is, they go out in groups. The Republicans will go out together, and the Democrats will go out together, and they will hit areas for funds. Do your job. Do your job. Look, I work way over 40. I work about 60, 70 hours a week. Okay? I'm only paid for 40. And that's fine. I'm happy with that. No problem. But I do my job. These guys are barely showing up for work, if they show up.
All right.
And when they do, and then they go off on these excursions to collect money, they call that working They actually, I'm not joking.
I know it.
They actually
I
call
know
working.
exactly what you're
and
saying.
if you do not do it, you might as well just sit there.
Like
Because
I
you're
said,
invisible.
if you do not follow these parties' rules and lines to do what they ask you to do, you're committing political suicide.
We need a governor
That actually
to
listens
make
to people.
well, a governor that he answers to all citizens,
That's right.
not the parties. Okay, that's what we need, and then to get these guys to mesh together.
Get them to work for the people. Actually, do work for the people.
Yes, and then call them out when they're being bought out. But see, the thing is, the Koch brothers started this because, again, I've said it before, it's the billionaires' agenda. They don't want government. They feel that because they have the money, and they have $87 billion,
They feel they should be in charge.
they have the money, they run the show. Well, the thing is, they don't.
No.
We're the ones that make it happen, but they're the ones that get it.
I mean, yes, they have the businesses that hire the people, but if they didn't have those employees, they couldn't do nothing.
And they make money off it.
Yeah.
But if you keep allowing wages to stay down and insurance costs to go up, we cannot afford to buy what you make.
That's exactly right.
So they invest in insurance companies. They invest. That's why.
That's what it's a misnomer in itself about affordable. Okay, if something is, I've said this on our show before, if something is mandatory, it needs to be affordable. Health insurance, mandatory. Auto insurance, mandatory. Is it affordable? Hell no.
Taxes for the benefit of the citizens. And our state rep right now talked that way, but I don't know if he's done it yet. I will find out. But that's how we talk. If we send our money in for taxes, it's supposed to come back to benefit our lives, take care of the infrastructure, the defense, and all of that. And it doesn't. What it does is it causes people to be self-serving.
Maybe you and I should run for office again.
After
I tell you what,
the last election, really, I mean, I don't know if I could. But unfortunately, we've run out of time. We hope we've hit on something, and if we have, check it out. Go on the computer, get the numbers to your state rep, state senator. It's on there. Your U.S. senators, and call their office. Not once, not twice, but 30 or 40 times, because they're not going to answer you anyway.
I don't even think they listen to the messages on the
No,
machines.
they don't. So it's unfortunate because when you look at the right side of your paycheck, that's where their money is coming from, other than the ones that bring it in paper bags, So anyway, I enjoyed this. We'll have to get some more information and bring it forwards so that we can make your lives better at least a little bit from here. So
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you very much. And this is Political Talk, and we hope you'll join us again. Thank you.
Views and content expressed in the previous program are not representative of ONTV or the Board of Directors. ONTV and its Board of Directors do not endorse the views, thoughts, or content of the previous program.